Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host, with another marvelous video. This time, top 25 kick-ass alien movies from the 80s. The love affair between the sci-fi genre and the 80s era was a memorable one, and fans got to witness some timeless classics during this time. The focus was largely on some form of extraterrestrial life or aliens, and the stories thrived on the element of curiosity among the people regarding these. Some talented filmmakers, visionary creature designers, and good old practical effects made for a deadly combination, and in this video, we bring you some of the finest specimens of alien movies from this era. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Aliens, 1986. What flourished in the 80s was perhaps pioneered by the 1979 movie Alien by Ridley Scott, which became a massive success and a genre-defining hit. In 1986, James Cameron came up with the sequel titled Aliens, and it was what we call the perfect follow-up to a rich legacy. The movie is premised in the distant future, and the story picks up 57 years after Ellen Ripley had a deadly encounter with the alien creatures in the first movie. This time around, she's tasked with helping a group of Marines to fight these aliens who have taken over a space colony. They soon find out that Ripley had rightly warned them about the true horrors that these creatures bring, and a nail-biting struggle for survival begins. Can Ripley be of any help in this nightmarish battle against the ferocious aliens? It wasn't easy to fill in the shoes of Ridley Scott, and James Cameron learned this the hard way when he had to make some genuine efforts to convince his crew about his potential. Sigourney Weaver, however, was quite impressed by the script and readily hopped on board to star in the movie, even though she'd rejected many sequel offers before. The movie offers a brilliant mix of sci-fi, action, and horror, and the creepy atmosphere in the space colony is sure to give you the chills. The aliens are kept as a mysterious element throughout the movie, and we're only fed partial information about their physiology or their behavioral patterns. The effects are top-notch, and visually there are absolutely no complaints with the impeccable lighting and cinematography. Aliens, 1986, is a great example of how a sequel should be created, and it also shows what a talented filmmaker can accomplish with some creative liberty and adequate resources. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982. Why do aliens always have to be something to fear? Steven Spielberg's classic take on the alien genre brought home a family-friendly entertainer, which was also an emotional roller coaster. The movie tells the story of a friendly extraterrestrial, being E.T., who gets stranded on Earth. He's discovered by a 10-year-old named Elliot, who forms an emotional bond with the creature. Elliot helps in keeping its existence a secret, together with his brother and sister. The alien tries to send a signal back to its home planet, but the government agents are already after the creature. Can E.T. go back home safely, or will it be too late before any help arrives? The movie is still regarded as one of the greatest alien movies of all time, for a reason. The kid-friendly storytelling has a strong emotional quotient, and it is essentially a story about a special friendship between a human and an alien. The costumes look perfect, the direction was impeccable, and they even managed to introduce some decent special effects considering that the film was made in 1982. Spielberg shot a major portion of the movie from the eye level of a child to make things look realistic, and it was a masterstroke to use a 3-foot stuntman with full-body puppetry for the scenes featuring the creature. Visually, things still don't seem outdated, and in terms of the narrative, you'll rarely come across better stories. This is a must-watch for everyone, but be prepared to watch the movie with tears in your eyes and a lump in your throat. Predator, 1987. Major Alan Schaefer, aka Dutch, is tasked with a routine rescue mission where he has to travel through the treacherous terrains of Central American jungles. He's accompanied by a team of battle-hardened commandos, but they soon find out that there's something far more sinister in the forests than what they anticipated. The members of the team are methodically hunted down by something far more superior and intelligent, and it's later revealed that the whole thing is the work of a vicious extraterrestrial being that hunts for fun. It's the ultimate hunter in the universe, the Predator, and it remains to be seen if Dutch and his squad stand a chance against its murderous spree. Arnold Schwarzenegger has essayed so many iconic characters in his illustrious career, but this movie remains one of his finest roles. The jungle might have been the perfect setting for the movie, but it also came with its share of problems. The cast and the crew had to brave a lot of challenges during filming Predator because the forests were filled with leeches and snakes. The days were extremely humid and the nights were freezing cold, and working in these extreme conditions was always difficult. Luckily, all their efforts paid off and the movie was met with a crazy reception reception from the fans. The atmospheric, nail-biting narrative never allows a dull moment to creep in, and the fine direction by John McTiernan ensures that you're kept guessing until you see it all. The gore is gratuitous, but it's never really over the top. If you're looking for a suspenseful journey with a terrifying extraterrestrial predator, there are few that can beat this film. The Thing, 1982. John Carpenter rarely disappoints with his movies, and The Thing is probably one of his finest works. The film captures the horrors witnessed by a US research station in Antarctica after they find something strange about their nearby Norwegian base. Upon visiting the base, they discover that all the members of the crew are missing or dead, and they seem to have buried something in a last-ditch effort. It doesn't take long for the Americans to find out that what they brought back to their base is a highly advanced and hostile alien life. It can take over other physical bodies, and the worst part is the lack of trust among the surviving members because they don't know who among them is inhabited by the Thing. The movie wastes no time in getting straight to the point, and the uncertainty and drama that prevails throughout the narrative is what makes it so special. It thrives on an intelligent script and also finds adequate support from a cast of talented actors such as Kurt Russell. What could have very easily turned into a cheesy gore fest is salvaged by the genius creature artist Rob Bottin, who makes the transformation scene stand out. The setting of an isolated base in the middle of nowhere uplifts the desperation, and you soon start to feel the heat along with the characters on screen. The Thing didn't open with a great response, but with time, it soon became a cult classic, which is considered to be one of the best sci-fi horror movies of all time. Life Force, 1985. Life Force tells the fascinating story of a unique alien threat which behaves like a vampire, except that instead of blood, it sucks the life force out of humans. It all begins when a space shuttle investigating the Halley's Comet comes across 3 humanoid life forms in caskets. Mysteriously, the space shuttle can no longer be contacted, and another one is sent from Earth to look into the matter. They discover that the crew of the previous space shuttle is all dead, and they bring the humanoid creatures back to Earth. However, it's soon discovered that the strange alien species is a form of space vampire, and they start preying on the civilians, turning them into zombie-like lifeless beings. Can this malevolent species be stopped before the existence of the human race is threatened? This movie is a wonderful attempt by the director Tobe Hooper to combine certain elements of Alien with zombie horror movies, and the end result leaves nothing to complain about. You also get to witness one of the most alluring alien creatures of all time, the gorgeous space vampire played by Matilda May. The fast-paced narrative features some of the most outrageous moments in the sci-fi genre, but you can look past the minor loopholes in the plot with so much entertainment on offer. The special effects work by John Dykstra from Star Wars is drop-dead excellent, and it's baffling how such a project was a box office disaster. All we can say is that they stopped making movies like these anymore, so savor the rare specimens from the good old days. Cocoon, 1985. Ben, Joe, and Art are some of the senior citizens living in a Florida rest home, but their usual life is interrupted by a miraculous event. They love to take a swim in an unguarded swimming pool next door, but their life changes after a swim one day as they suddenly feel energized and rejuvenated. They soon discover that the swimming pool water received some supernatural qualities, courtesy of some alien involvement. These friendly aliens had left behind some of their own in cocoons, and now they're back to take them back to their planet. The old fellas offer to help, and in return, the aliens are about to offer them something far too precious. Fantasy, magic, and the sci-fi genre are not really known for too many heartwarming and thought-provoking stories, but Cocoon thrives on an intriguing premise that will blow your mind. It explores the perils of old age, and also throws up a few philosophical questions about the rationale behind the cycle of life in general. Ron Howard's direction is near flawless, and even with minimal special effects, some of the scenes will make you take notice. All the characters are essayed perfectly by the cast, and the likes of Don Amici and Wilford Brimley perform out of their skin. Watch out for the remarkable twist in the climactic moments. After watching this film, you'll certainly be questioning yourself if you'd actually take a dip in such a magical pool if given the chance. The Abyss, 1989. You always expect something special with James Cameron in charge, and The Abyss doesn't disappoint. It starts off with an American nuclear submarine mysteriously crashing and sinking into the deep waters, and the US government believes that there might be some foul play by Russia. They send an investigating team comprising of Navy SEALs and workers from an underwater oil rig near the crash site. As the mission proceeds, the team soon figures out that there's something more dangerous and sinister in the waters than what they anticipated. The deep waters are home to a deadly alien aquatic species, and a regular mission quickly becomes an adventure of a lifetime. We all know that James Cameron is a perfectionist, and for this movie he probably took things a bit too far at times. Ed Harris, one of the lead actors, reportedly punched him in the face after he kept filming, even as he was almost drowning. However, such dedicated efforts did bring us a near-perfect sci-fi movie that's sure to aggravate your claustrophobia and fear of deep waters. This is almost a survival thriller with some memorable action that's absolutely edge-of-your-seat stuff. There's also a detailed and vivid storytelling, which includes a few emotional moments, and overall, the movie brings you the complete package. Even the special effects are breathtaking, and the brilliant visuals will make you forget that the movie was made in the late 80s. The fantasy ending will leave you stunned, and it would be a major loss to miss out on this classic. They Live, 1988. A gripping sci-fi movie featuring aliens and a deep social commentary to go with it. Who else but John Carpenter could deliver such a masterpiece? They Live is indeed one of a kind, and the movie tells the story through the eyes of John Nadder, a construction worker. He comes across a strange pair of sunglasses that enables him to see the real face of the world. He's shocked to discover that the media and the government are almost having a hypnotic effect on the masses, with messages like "no imagination" and "stay asleep." Those in charge are hideous aliens who pose as normal people but are actually keeping up with their mission of taking over the planet. To sum up, the aliens live while humanity sleeps with a dying consciousness, and believe us when we say there can be nothing scarier. The underlying themes of this movie are so strong that you'll find them relevant even today. They Live might be a low-budget B-movie, but it manages to deliver the goods with all its limitations and an absurd-sounding plot. Roddy Piper comes alive in his role, and his expressions steal the show in most of his scenes. People are suckers for fun movies with a deeper, serious message, and They Live will be right up their alley. Apart from Roddy Piper, Keith David also does a fine job, and the poor special effects and hilarious fight scenes can be ignored by focusing on the real purpose of the film. This is a movie for those who appreciate an intelligent sci-fi flick, and even well-made B-movie fans will not be disappointed. Strange Invaders, 1983. The small town of Centerville, Illinois comes under a strange alien invasion. The human inhabitants are reduced to glowing blue orbs, and the aliens take over the human form to continue living there. Almost 25 years later, Charles finds out that his ex-wife has gone missing after she went to attend her mother's funeral in Centerville. He goes looking for her, and soon discovers the mystery behind the strange behavior of everyone in the town. He fails to get attention from the FBI, and it comes down to him to outsmart the aliens. His ex-wife and their daughter's lives are at stake, and it remains to be seen if Charles can find a way out. Strange Invaders might not be the most memorable sci-flicks from the 80s, but it's certainly among the most entertaining ones. It tries to ignite the nostalgia behind sci-fi dramas from the 50s, and the well-written script, with plenty of humor, certainly does justice to the ambitions. The special effects are indeed low budget and lack the finesse, but that doesn't take away everything from the engaging storytelling. Michael Lachlan does a great job as the director, and he's helped by a talented cast, including the likes of Paul Le Mat and Nancy Allen. Watch out for the cameos from former Lost in Space stars Mark Goddard and June Lockhart. The cheesy climax could have been handled better, but Strange Invaders is still a must-watch for those who appreciate an entertaining alien invasion movie. Critters, 1986. Welcome to one of the most vicious forms of alien threats that you'll ever encounter in movies. The Critters are a group of furry creatures from another world who are unforgiving, flesh-eating monsters with a crazy appetite for human flesh. The movie explores the chaos as these aliens munch their way through a small town as everyone falls prey to their razor-sharp teeth. A local farm is in the way of this carnage, and they need some special help before it's too late. In come a few critter-slaying, shape-shifting bounty hunters and a few rebellious locals who take the fight back to these dangerous creatures. Low-budget horror films often mess it up, but Critters is certainly not one of those efforts. The narrative centers around these permanently hungry, flesh-eating aliens whose sole purpose on Earth is to eat their way ahead. Stephen Herrick handles the direction quite well, and some good acting performances ensure that the movie is a cult favorite. There's a generous dose of goofiness and craziness involved in the story, and the Critters are easily one of the weirdest alien species that you'll ever come across. They look sufficiently hideous and laughable on screen, and the special effects team deserves a raise for their innovation. The language used by the Critters is an interesting combination of French and Japanese, and the funky-sounding gibberish was a perfect fit for these menacing creatures. If you watch the movie, remember to judge it as a guilty pleasure B-movie that offers some unadulterated fun. Enemy Mine, 1985. A devastating intergalactic war in a futuristic world is raging between the humans and an alien reptilian species called the Drax. During a fierce dogfight between two spaceships, both the crafts crash into an inhospitable planet. Both pilots, a human and a member of the Drax, land there alive, but they now face some new challenges. The planet is hostile, and the two must put aside their differences and work together in order to survive. They both have various experiences in fighting and surviving among the forces of brutal nature, and their specialized knowledge can be the only thing to save the day. The two learn a lot about each other's culture, and you'll start wondering if their bonhomie can bring about permanent peace between the two species. The movie suffered multiple setbacks, and still managed to bring out the goods from a relatively meager budget. The original director, Richard Loncraine, shot the movie in Iceland, but later on Wolfgang Petersen reshot the whole thing, even introducing a few changes in the story. Somehow, the end result works, and it puts out a breathtaking drama featuring war and peace. The narrative is a wonderful metaphor for all forms of bigotry, and the chemistry between the stranded human and alien is what makes the movie special. There are some funny moments, some emotional ones, and there are some others that will make you sit back and think. It could have fared better with some decent editing, but it's still a solid recommendation from us if you want to deal with your workday blues over a pleasant story. Spaceballs, 1987. In this intergalactic fantasy, King Roland from the planet Druidia is preparing to get his daughter Princess Vesper married. However, the princess escapes to avoid the wedding, accompanied by her faithful robot, Dot Matrix. Meanwhile, on a distant planet, Spaceball, fresh air has become a rarity, and the evil president of the planet decides to kidnap the princess to blackmail King Roland for access to Druidia's atmosphere. Lone Star is a seasoned mercenary tasked with the rescue attempt, and he's helped by his half-human, half-canine sidekick, Barf. Can they save the princess and prevent the sinister plans of the Spaceballs? Mel Brooks is a genius filmmaker, and he proves it yet again with Spaceballs. It's a hilarious comedy with interesting sci-fi elements, and the storytelling is crisp and fast-paced. This film is interpreted by many as Mel's comical take on Star Wars, and one can't be blamed for thinking so. It's a well-made satire that's helped by some amazing performances from Bill Pullman, George Weiner, Rick Moranis, and Mel Brooks himself. The cast is clearly having a blast as there is a gag every 2 minutes, and the movie is a solid mood cleanser. It's also bolstered by some strong production values and fun effects, and it's not surprising that Spaceballs is a childhood favorite of many who grew up in the 80s. Starman, 1984. John Carpenter clearly found the concept of alien life intriguing because he made quite a few movies in this genre. Starman is another of his sci-fi thrillers that makes you sit back and think, and it certainly helps that you can't take your eyes off the drama unfolding before you. It all starts when an alien accepts an invitation to visit Earth sent out by NASA. However, it's in for a rude shock when its spacecraft is shot down. In order to avoid capture by the security forces, the alien takes the form of a young widow's dead husband. He then convinces her to drive him to Arizona, where he's fixed an extraction point for him to be rescued. If he fails to make it to the location within 3 days, he would die. Meanwhile, he develops a close bond with the young widow, but his escape efforts face the looming threat of the government agents tracking him down. Starman might have the perfect story arc and John Carpenter's direction skills, but the movie wouldn't have been the same without the soulful performance of Jeff Bridges as the titular character. His chemistry with Karen Allen, who played the young widow, made the film special, and it's unlike most of the other alien movies featuring tons of terror and violence. The story is largely reliant on compassion, and the intelligent script leaves no stone unturned in establishing the same. Everything from the gripping musical score to the above-average effects helps the narrative flourish, and Starman's journey is one that will move you to the core. This movie might not have enjoyed a lot of popularity, but it's still John Carpenter's only movie that got a few Oscar nominations. Do check out this unlikely tale of romance and alien life, and you'll be pleasantly surprised by the experience.
Let's have a cold one!
Alien Nation, 1988. An alien ship crash-landed on Earth with 300,000 newcomers, the nomenclature for the extraterrestrial race. Slowly, they were included into the human society, but there remains certain oppression and discrimination toward these aliens. One of the newcomers becomes the first cop, but he gets a veteran human partner who doesn't think too highly of his species. However, the two soon learn to work together as they investigate the newcomer underworld and one of their nefarious leaders. Buddy cop movies are always fun if they're well made, and Alien Nation certainly classifies as a solid entertainer. The bonding between a human and an alien cop is the highlight of the narrative, and the equation between them evolves as the story progresses. Even if you ignore the underlying message of the movie, you'll find the narrative moving and engaging. While many alien-based sci-fi flicks make a big deal out of the alien creature, this one treats them as regulars. They're everywhere and walk around doing their regular business, and within a few minutes you get accustomed to their presence. That being said, the simplistic alien makeup is quite effective. Mandy Patinkin and James Caan are perfect in their respective roles, and the direction by Graham Baker also leaves nothing to complain about. Overall, Alien Nation is an alien movie out of the ordinary, and one that you must check out.
They do understand me.
Invaders from Mars, 1986. This movie by Tobe Hooper is the remake of a 1950s classic, and it tells the story of a courageous young boy who stands up against an alien takeover of his town. It all starts after a spaceship lands near his house and the boy realizes that something fishy is happening in the region. People start to go missing all of a sudden, and when they reappear, they all seem rather unusual. It doesn't take long for the boy to figure out that the aliens are taking over the mind and bodies of everyone in the town, including his parents. He fights a lone battle with minimal help, and it remains to be seen if his efforts can rid the town of its alien threat. Some very experienced and talented minds got together for this film, from Tobe Hooper as the director, to John Dykstra from the Star Wars fame in charge of special effects to makeup specialist Stan Winston. The film had the perfect recipe for success. Of course, it's a true B-movie in spirit, and the narrative doesn't take itself seriously. There are plenty of cheesy moments and subpar acting that might bother you, but there's no shortage of constant entertainment. As for the cast, Karen Black and her real-life son Hunter Carson do a decent job, but the child actor could have been a lot better. Nevertheless, one won't be watching this for Oscar-worthy performances in the first place. Canon Pictures delivered some unforgettable B-movies back in the day, and Invaders from Mars is another feature in their cap. Batteries Not Included, 1987. Aliens are not just about posing a threat to humanity, and there have been some adorable movies in the 80s that focused on the friendly side of extraterrestrial beings. Batteries Not Included is one such story, where a feisty old New York couple get a helping hand from the most unexpected allies. Their life was threatened by uncertainty after a ruthless land developer tried to evict everyone in their building. Their business was going down the drain, and with no saving grace, some help from the outside world arrived. The intergalactic visitors might not speak the same language, but they help in getting the business back on its feet and also fuel the drive in the old couple to fight back. This movie, directed by Matthew Robbins, was initially supposed to be one of the stories in the TV series titled Amazing Stories. However, Steven Spielberg, who was the executive producer, believed in the potential of the narrative and wanted it to be a theatrical release. The touching and tender tale of friendly alien beings has the tone of a Disney family drama, and even the special effects are quite impressive considering the times. The sentient alien spaceships look believable, and their antics will make you root for them the whole time. Jessica Tandy shines with a memorable acting performance, and it's unfortunate that the movie was bashed by the critics. Some even went to the extent of saying that this was one of Steven Spielberg's worst involvements, but we beg to differ. If you're looking for a movie to enjoy with the whole family, this might be one of the underrated 80s gems to check out. My Stepmother is an Alien, 1988. Stephen Mills is a widowed astronomer, and he accidentally sends out a powerful surge of energy, which acts as a death ray for life on another planet. In order to undo the effects of this energy surge, they send in one of their finest, disguised as an alluring human lady. Her task is to reverse the effect of the death ray within 48 hours, and she quickly attracts the attention of the nerdy scientist who's oblivious to her actual mission. Things could have been swift and simple, but the attractive alien lady develops a liking for Stephen's young daughter. Can things work out in everyone's best interests? This movie was directed by Richard Benjamin during a phase when he wasn't really acting, making use of a diverse cast from Dan Aykroyd to the sensuous Kim Basinger. He does the job just fine. You have to remember that the movie was never intended to be a genre-defining project and was simply created for the laughs. John Lovitz, in particular, who plays the role of Stephen's womanizing brother, never fails to put a smile on your face with his antics. The script is humorous, and the special effects aren't too bad either. And if you start questioning the implausibility of the plot, then the movie is probably not your cup of tea. We love it for the feel-good ending, an entertaining narrative, and some hilarious moments to laugh our lungs out.
Hello.
Explorers, 1985. Ben Crandall is a young boy obsessed with 50s sci-fi alien movies, and he enjoys playing Gallagher in his room. One night, he has a strange dream about a blueprint of a space-traveling machine, and he shares it with his genius best friend, Wolfgang Muller. The latter is a scientific genius who puts his dreams to reality, and another friend named Darren helps in creating the spacecraft capable of traveling through the galaxy. They set out in search of alien life. and soon they encounter numerous adventures and a variety of extraterrestrial life forms. In order to dive into the details of their space journey, you have to watch this remarkable sci-fi drama from the 80s. The movie is exactly what it sounds like from the plot, a classic kids' adventure. The well-knit plot has a surprising amount of detailing, and the innovation in presenting a simple story is inspiring. The three young protagonists make for a great team, and you'll see a young Ethan Hawke starring as the main guy. He's a typical 80s kid, and you'll find him quite relatable too if you're anything like us. While the first half toys with the fantasy, the second half gets into some serious business. However, where the film really falters is the special effects department. The aliens look cartoonish, and their screen presence is quite funny. The director Joe Dante's daft touch can be observed throughout the narrative, and it'd be a big miss to skip this iconic alien adventure from the good old days.
Where's your overthruster, little man?
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, 1984. This movie explored an interdimensional plot before it was cool. The protagonist Buckaroo Banzai is an all-in-one, from a rock star to a great scientist. One of his discoveries is the art of traveling through solid matter by making use of the eighth dimension. However, not everyone is happy with his fame and glory. Dr. Emilio Lizardo has a sinister plot of destroying the Earth by bringing in an alien army from the eighth dimension. Buckaroo joins hands with his infamous crime-fighting team as they take on this alien threat. Can he save the planet from the alien forces? One of the first things that you'll notice about this movie is the sheer unpredictability of the plot. The twists and turns take you just about anywhere, and the clever script also has plenty of throwaway jokes to keep you entertained. The director brought in a cast of newbie actors who went on to become big names over the years. The likes of Peter Weller, John Lithgow, and Ellen Barkin did justice to their respective roles, and it was a team effort to make this project a success. The movie didn't have the highest budget, and this reflects in the kind of effects that you get to see. That being said, the makers did their best to mask the shortcomings with practical effects and makeup. For many like us, this movie forms a special part of childhood memories that's worth revisiting. If you have a warped and wacky sense of humor, this movie is sure to tickle your funny bone. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, 1988. Mike and Debbie are two carefree teenagers, but their life changes after they witness a comet crashing outside their town. When they decide to explore further, they discover deadly alien creatures that look like circus clowns. They make an effort to alert the local authorities about this threat, but no one takes them seriously. However, the clown-faced aliens mean business, and they start hunting down the townsmen one by one. When Debbie gets kidnapped by these killer clowns, Mark must find a way to get rid of this alien threat once and for all. If you have a fear of clowns and anything related to them, this movie is going to magnify it 10 times and put it before you. Of course, it also has the hilarious moments to lighten the situation, and you'll surely enjoy the drama that unfolds. Stephen Chiodo doesn't try anything pretentious and presents the movie just like a cheesy B-movie with an ending entertainment on offer. The acting performances are nothing to write about, and the dialogues are just as dumb as you'd expect in such a film. The effects in the movie are something to enjoy because the aliens aren't just men in clown makeup. The director ensured that they used a special suit for them, and even the alien spaceship in the climactic moments looks great. Enjoy it as a wildly imaginative horror comedy that doesn't take itself too seriously, and you'll not be disappointed. Communion, 1989. Whitley Strieber goes for a vacation with his family and some friends, and they all head to his cabin in the forest. That night, they all witness something out of the ordinary with strange bright lights and unexplained occurrences. Everyone is scared and they all go back, but the writer takes his family back to that place after a few months. They experience something strange yet again, and Whitley realizes that he has some psychological trauma to process. Is there more to the alien activity than what meets the eye, or is it just hallucinations and illusions? Philippe Moore is known for his unique brand of movies, and Communion adds to his long list of bizarre works. The narrative is simply insane, and since all the events unfold as the protagonist is having a breakdown, you keep wondering what's real and what isn't. Christopher Walken, who plays the role of Whitley Strieber, steals the limelight for this one. He delivers a memorable performance, which is right up there with his work in The Deer Hunter and The King of New York. The narrative of Communion is intelligently handled, and the blue men will remind you of something straight out of the Star Wars universe. The special effects are also quite excellent and make things look surprisingly realistic. Overall, you're going to appreciate a thoughtful treatment of a rather controversial subject, and this will be a movie that you'll remember for a very long time. The Hidden, 1987. Aliens come in all shapes and sizes, and the one you encounter in The Hidden is basically a parasitic alien with deadly consequences. It takes control of human bodies after processing their minds, and the individual then indulges in a violent crime spree across the city. With rising cases of such outbreaks, an FBI agent teams up with a local police officer as they try to decipher the mystery behind such behavior. They soon discover the real reason behind such strange behavior, but can they help the city recover from this alien threat? Jack Shoulder has directed several movies, but he regards this one as his favorite. The Hidden might have been relatively unnoticed under some of the big releases during the time, but the film had its moments and doesn't deserve to be written off. It's a thoroughly entertaining B-movie trash that was savoured throughout the 80s, and those who have watched the movie will rate it pretty highly among the sci-fi flicks of the era. If you enjoy a generous dose of cinematic violence, you're in for a treat because the narrative doesn't hold back on the body count. Rarely will you come across a B-movie outside Hong Kong action cinema with such a massive kill count, and it certainly gets the adrenaline pumping. The narrative moves at a brisk pace, and the performances by the two lead actors Kyle MacLachlan and Michael Nouri are quite impressive. Enjoy the poignant characters, the non-stop action, and an original storyline as you experience this underrated gem from the 80s. Inseminoid, 1981. In the aftermath of Ridley Scott's Alien, many filmmakers wanted to cash in on the massive craze behind the movie. Inseminoid is one effort that tells a story in the familiar setting of humans stranded on a distant planet. They're all working as interplanetary archaeologists, but their life is threatened after a hostile alien presence is detected. The creature attacks and impregnates one of the humans, and she changes drastically following this event. She begins to stalk her colleagues one after another, and she drinks the blood of those who fall prey. Is there an end to her murderous rampage and any hope for the survivors? You can question several things about the movie, but the lively ambience is certainly not one of them. The majority of the film was shot in the Chislehurst Caves, and this allowed the production values to appear premium. The rocky terrain posed several issues for the cast and crew, but they worked their way through the challenges. Since it is a low-budget effort, Inseminoid doesn't depend much on extravagant special effects. The driving factor behind the movie is an engaging plot and some decent acting performances from the cast. The narrative is fast-paced and eager to please, and there's some gory violence on offer as well. The movie is a downright nasty alien ripoff, and almost unapologetic about it. If you're in the mood for some mindless entertainment, this might be the perfect movie to check out with a couple of beers. The Deadly Spawn, 1983. Just like Inseminoid, The Deadly Spawn was another attempt to cash in on the worldwide popularity of Ridley Scott's Alien, and the fans of the genre weren't complaining. What seemed like a meteor crash was actually the arrival of a strange alien life form on Earth. It takes shelter in the basement of a nearby house and consumes the couple living there. It's soon discovered that the alien creature has spawned several slug-like creatures which are feasting on the corpses. These aliens only react to any form of sound, and one can potentially avoid falling prey by remaining extremely quiet. Can the others find a way to get rid of this alien monstrosity before it keeps multiplying? If you haven't heard of The Deadly Spawn yet, you might be surprised to know about the kind of cult following that the movie commands. It's a true B-movie in terms of the ideal definition, and it only seeks to entertain the fans without offering them any real quality. The story seems outrageous, the acting performances aren't Oscar-worthy, and even the special effects are laughable. However, the film thrives on the sheer fun factor that's associated with every scene. The narrative is injected with a genuine sense of humor, and you'll be getting plenty of laughs from the hilarious dialogues as well. The alien creatures look like a cross between H.R. Giger's Alien and a hideous salamander, and the cheap effects help in enhancing the campy atmosphere. The element of gore is relentless, and some of the scenes are definitely not meant for the squeamish. In short, this is the kind of B-movie that made the 80s a great time to grow up, and you simply can't miss out on such a classic.
Oh, yes, it did.
Creature, 1985. The movie opens on an ominous note as researchers for an American multinational company encounter a deadly alien species on the largest moon of Saturn, Titan. One of them is killed instantly by the creature, and the other one loses his mind following the incident and later kills himself in a crash while piloting a spaceship. A year later, when another spaceship from the company is sent to Titan, the crew detects a distress signal coming from the spaceship of their rival German company. After crash landing on Titan, they realize that all the crew members of the German spaceship are now dead, and there's something far more dangerous on Titan than they'd imagined. Will there be any survivors in the carnage that follows? This is an enjoyable Alien clone, which suffers from low production values, but still manages to hold its own. The story does its job, and the cast pulls off an above-average performance, especially if you consider the B-movie market. You don't always have to be original and innovative to amuse and entertain viewers, do you? While this movie's been criticized for various reasons, the special effects are definitely one of the strong points going for them. You'll be surprised to know that the team involved in Creature went on to work in Aliens, 1986, and this was certainly a nice practice ground for them. Overall, you can watch the movie as a casual one-time watch, and it wouldn't bore you to death with so much happening around the plot. We can't bring back this golden era for you, but we hope our nostalgia tour has been enjoyable. Do let us know in the comments below about your favourite among the list, and also tell us about some of the underrated movies that we may have skipped for this one. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks everyone.
Oh yes, it did.